This lecture will discuss tool marks. And the first question we have to ask is actually, what is a tool mark? And it's an impression or mark that's produced by a tool or instrument on a receptive surface. So something that a mark can be left on. In other words, a mark will be made on a surface that's softer than the tool. In the world of forensic science, tool marks can take the form of a negative impression, like putting a stamp, or an abrasion, a friction type. So um, marks are, made because two objects are rubbing against each other. And some tool marks are a combination of both. And down here we can see tool marks that include scratches, impressions, and even scissors can make a tool mark. So you don't think that just because we're using the word tool that it means, a hammer or screwdriver, something like that. But those are good tools. And then there's different categories of tool marks. The first is cutting, and these will leave cutting marks. You'll see those along the edges that were cut, and something like a saw would leave that mark. And we discussed multiple types of saws. There's striker saws, which are rounded and leave arc-shaped patterns. Hack saws, which are going to leave like a tic-tac-toe pattern, or known to leave paint chips or something like that behind as well. Chainsaws, which leave a lot of blood spatter. Um, and bandsaws, which will leave, pretty clean cut. And then there's abrasion marks, and these are going to be made when two surfaces slide past each other. And indentation marks, which impressed marks are also considered to be a tool mark. And an example would be a screwdriver or chisel used to indent a metal surface, but it doesn't actually go through the object. It just leaves an impression. Sometimes you'll see these kinds of marks with somebody trying to pry open a window with a pry bar or something like that. So, when we come across tool mark evidence at a scene, it always has to be photographed first using a scale, and then you're going to look around the tool mark as well to see if there's any other evidence, any debris left, like paint chips or blood. You're going to look for fingerprints. You'll test for those fingerprints. And then if the object is movable, it's small enough where you can take it with you, you're going to take that to the lab. Otherwise, you're going to cast it using a silicone rubber material. And then, that's, of course, after you photograph it, and use that rubber material and then take that impression with you. When you photograph tool marks and tools, you want to use different angles to look at this. And with the tool itself, you want to use something called oblique lighting, or a process called magnesium smoking, which is going to help enhance that photograph so you can actually see the tool itself. And on those tools, you want to look for any gouges or specific marks. And some of these marks are made just from normal wear and tear, or some of them are actually made from the manufacturer. So you want to look for those that individualize the tool. And the goal of tool mark analysis really is going to be, to define the type of tool that was used in the crime. And if a tool is found in the suspect's possession, you have the tool, you can actually use that tool to make a mark to see if it's the same, but you have to be careful because you don't want to make any other marks. And that brings us to packaging tools. If a tool is found, you have to make sure it's packaged individually so that it doesn't leave any other individual characteristics on the surface. Because if it does, then you're going to end up with new marks, and we don't want to do that. And other things that might be important are serial numbers that are unique or assigned for identification purposes to a tool, but that'll only help if you have the tool and those numbers. So overall, you're using tool marks as another piece of evidence that can help individualize the instrument that was used at a crime scene, but it can't convict someone because you have to be able to place that tool in the person's hand at the time of the crime, which gets very difficult. But there's many different things to individualize the evidence to make sure that you know that that is the tool that was used at the crime.